Hi, hi everyone. Third time. Sorry for the technical issue. So we hope this time it's going to work. Hi Laurie. Hi Warren. Nice to see you today. Just a minute. I'm just going to share that live on a few groups. Wait for more people to come. So I tried a few times already, but I obviously didn't work. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys that I'm now back to Australia, so I'm not in France anymore. And I wanted to thank everyone that supported me to get back to my family, to allow me to be here, especially Peter and Mike and Eva, who also helped me a lot. Today I wanted to give you a little bit of update about what's happening in France. Personally, so now I will be in Australia for the next few months, let's say. I don't know how things are going to work for me, but at least for the next few months. Thanks, Warren. And I also wanted to give you an update about what's happening in France. So today we're the 1st of May. In most of the part of the world it's going to be the 1st of May. So there has been a big launch, a big announcement about a big meeting happening on the 1st of May in France. So the last weekend has been a bit quiet. There has been a little bit less people than usual, but for the fifth month in a row now, France is protesting, and we're starting to see a lot of results politically. So we see a lot of results in terms of the fact that Macron hasn't changed anything. Macron is obviously showing that he's not working for the people. He's working for a class of, let's call it the 1% or the 0.001%, people who used to believe that this was a conspiracy theory and that the world wasn't governed by a huge rich elite, are now coming to the point where they cannot deny that truth anymore. So that's the good aspect of things. It's very positive that people are realizing that we are in war, basically. We're in war against the globalists. Let's call them the globalists. So I'd like today to share with you a little bit of my 2 cents about what's happening. So basically, when people get to a point when they can create currency, when they can control the tool that allow people to exchange goods and services, the only thing that can stop them is anyone that is capable of creating another currency. And so therefore governments become the enemy as long as they cannot be corrupted. So when people get access to the technology to create currency, to create money, it becomes very essential for them to corrupt government. So the money doesn't really belong to the people, it belongs to the people who create it. It doesn't belong to the users, it belongs to the creators of that currency. So if that currency is created by a state, and the state belongs to the citizen, then therefore the currency can belong to the citizen. But if the currency belongs to the people who create a system in which only they can have an interest in that system, then therefore the whole system is rigged. So for those who are not yet familiar with the way currency is created, for each dollars or euros or whatever currency that is created in the world, an equal debt is attached to it. Not an equal, but there's a percentage of debt that is attached to it, which obviously create that tremendous debt that we owe to who knows. We don't know who. Like, we know who it is. It's the people who created that system. But that system of debt has been only put in place to enslave people, because if every time that you create a dollar, you have to attach a debt to it, then therefore you will have to create another dollar to pay that debt. And when you're going to create this other dollar, you're going to create another dollar to pay the debt that that has been created based on the dollar that you created. So it's a whole Ponzi scheme. So a Ponzi scheme is a system that constantly need to pour more and more and more effort to make it stable. And unfortunately, this is the way we manage our whole currency in every country on earth. So when people are fighting against each other around the ideas of religion, around the ideas of immigration, around the idea of politics, like they don't get it until we are using a currency for which every dollar that is going to be created will induce a debt that will require to create another dollar to pay it back. Then you can waste your time fighting whatever ghost you want to fight. Nothing will ever change. So to a currency to be really neutral, for each dollar that is created, no debt should be attached to it. That's as simple as that. You create a dollar, you put the dollar into the market, you collect it back through taxes, for example, and the dollar disappears. That's how you manage economy. But we have been corrupted, like journalists and professionals and economists has been corrupted for years to make everyone believe that a system where for each dollar that is creating a debt is attached to it, it's perfectly fine, is the reason why we are living in the world that we're living today. We live in a world where insanity is so obvious that people don't even question it. But they don't understand the source of this insanity. And the insanity is that the system that allow people to exchange their time together, which is money basically allow people to exchange their time, that system is basically completely unbalanced. I don't know if it's clear. Like, if you have any question, please ask it if it's not clear. Hi Tracy. Hi Nicola. Thank you. Yeah, decentralized currency is obviously. Thank Chris. Decentralized currency is the solution, because every time that a currency will be centralized, it will be obviously corrupted, and every time that the currency will be corrupted, then you're going to get back into the same loop where people will have to pay to use the currency that they need to exchange goods and services, which allow them to be alive, basically. So, how did he? Yeah, it's very true, but it's so blatantly true that I still don't understand why people are wasting their time fighting ghosts. No matter which ghost you want to call it, you can call NSA, you can call CIA, you can call immigration, you can call Trump, you can call it whatever name you want, until people will be aware of the corruption of the tool that allow them to exist, then nothing will change. So in France, I cannot say that the people are aware of that point, because it requires a little bit of reflection, it requires a little bit of knowledge, and it's actually so big that you're like, why no one ever told me that before? Well, you should actually ask yourself, how many times in your whole life did anyone explain you how money is created? Since we were young, we have been taught how to use money, how to spend money, how to earn money. And we actually call earning money making money. Well, we're not making money, we are earning money, which is very, very different. Earning money is earning money, making money is making money. But when you call making money earning money, you actually got it wrong. You believe that you make money. Well, in a way you are making money, but the point is that when you make money, you also make a debt. And for each debt that is created, you will have to work again to create more money, to create more debt. And this system, as you can easily understand, hasn't been made to allow people to live. It has been made to enslave people. So every time that you see, even cops beating up people, you're like, oh, this is my problem. The cops is my problem. No, the cops is not your problem. The problem is your ignorance. It's the fact that people don't understand that concept and that principle. And that's why the government are trying to stop cash, for example, because cash allow people to exchange money by themselves. If I have $100, if my bakery have $100, and my bakery buy my I don't know, my whatever, if I'm producing flour, for example, and I need bread, my bakery can pay me with $100, and I can buy his bread with $100, and there would be no money creation. It would just be an exchange. When things are getting wrong is when the government are collecting tax and they're spending more money, because the more they spend money, the more they have to create money, and the more they have to create money, the more they have to create debt. So we are not responsible of that situation. The only people responsible of that situation are the governments, which are spending and spending and spending money, because the more they spend money, the more they create debt, and the more they create debt, the more they enslave us. Because they're like, well, we are spending your money, so we are basically spending what belongs to you, but the only thing that remains for you is the debt. So it's very, very, very important that people understand that mechanism, because until people understand that mechanism, nothing will move. I'm not sure the whole Yellow Vest understand deeply how it is. They just see the consequences, which is that France is producing, I don't know, it has a GDP of $1,000 billion a year, and 80% of the population lives with less than $1,000 a month. 1,000 euros a month. And you're like, how can we generate $1,000 billion a year and nothing remain for the people? Like, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense. It's not coherent. And that's the truth. It's not coherent. It's insane. It's just that we live in such a corruption that it's beyond what we can understand. And most of the people doesn't even want to face that truth. It's so painful to see, well, like, it's not that there's not enough money, it's not that there's not enough skill, not enough competency, it's just that there are greed and there's stupidity and there's corruption. And because of that, we are living in a very painful reality. Does it make sense? Like, do you guys have any questions? Is it clear so far? Tell me if it's not clear. So every time that a dollar is created, a debt is attached to it. And this creates that infinite vicious circle that has only been created to enslave the whole world. So when I'm saying the enemy is not the Muslim, the enemy is not your neighbor, it's not your boss, it's not even the government, because we're talking about people who are above the government, who are beyond the government. We're talking about a group, an international group of people who decided that the earth has to belong to them, and that's it. And they don't want to share that in their crazy mindset. And they really believe that they're going to reach that point where people would just say, well, that's fine, we're all going to be your slaves, and it's going to be good, don't worry about it. Well, sorry guys, it's not going to happen. We're not going to let this happen. So the first level is that this system can only survive as long as people are ignorant of that system. That's the first rule of the thing. Modern monetary theory. I don't know, Laurie, I don't know about the theory. You'll have to explain us a bit more about it, but I know this theory. So until the people realize how this is, like, basically, if money was created out of thin air at zero interest and zero debt, none of the problem that we're facing today could exist. Because every time that a currency would be created, it would entirely be neutral, and every time that you want to manage the inflation, you just have to destroy that currency that has no color, no flavor, because it has been created just for the purpose of being used. So, until people will do the exercise of educating themselves and teaching the people around them about that truth and that reality, the world is going to be in a very, very difficult position. People will only be capable of seeing the consequences of it, but it's not going to be possible. So what do I believe is our solution? So our solution is simple, a currency that doesn't cost anything to be created. And it's very simple. Today, a currency only costs the price of electricity. So if we can create a cooperative about the price of a currency, which is basically an exchange of zeros between computers on Earth, like the price of currency is nearly nothing. So there's the solution. There's only solution. That's what I'm trying to say. There's only solution. The thing that we don't have is knowledge. We are bombarded by useless information every single day, and the true and crucial and fundamental information are completely put to the bin, and that's the problem that we're facing. The solution that we need to do is to educate ourselves and to spread truth, because truth has that ability that when someone gets access to truth, he cannot forget it. It becomes a part of himself. Truth is building yourself. Truth is allowing you to grow and to nourish you. So this is the power of truth, and that's why truth is so important, and that's why truth needs to be shared. And that's bringing me to the second problem, which is the communication of information. So, like right now, I'm talking to I don't know how many people. Like there's 23 people on that live, so-called apparently. And if the truth that I'm sharing cannot touch enough people, then therefore my truth is hidden. So how can we get more information to people? Like how can we share more information? Solution space. So and again, this is going to go through decentralized information. So we're working on that, guys. We're working on decentralizing information through cryptocurrency, through decentralized system, and it's coming. It's coming. The crypto market is going up again slowly. Like the technology is coming. It's just the inertia of things. And that's another analogy that I want to share with you. Like the Yellow Vest movement needed a lot of energy to start, and the first few months were crucial. But since the information has been pushed, and that now the boat is on the water, like the analogy of the boat is that the bigger the boat is, the more energy it needs to start. But as soon as the boat has started, it's going to take a huge amount of energy to stop it. And this is what we see happening in France. Like in France, a lot of people have started that movement, and it's not because there's less people coming during the weekend that the movement has stopped. It just had transformed, because now we reached, 40 people have lost an eye. Let it sink into your mind, like 40 people, 40 citizens, mums and dads, who were just going out protesting about the fact that even if they're working 40 or 50 hours a week, they still have to sleep into their car in the 7th wealthiest country on earth. Okay, France, I think, is between the 5th and 8th, I don't know exactly, wealthiest country on earth. People are working 40, 50 hours a week, and they still live in their car. And because they're unsatisfied with that, they go in and protest in the street peacefully. And they get shot in the face, lose an eye, and in 5 months, the president of our republic hasn't acknowledged one of those 40 citizens. And this is called, it's called insanity, but it's actually the true face of the world we live in, which is based on the so-called democracy, which is actually all about agree with me or pay the consequences. Hi everyone, just checking the messages. Hi Geta, hi John. Most of the people are blinded, and the blinded by the system mean what? It means that you put your personal interest before your moral. I don't know if you remember that. I said that many times in many of my conferences. Every time that someone will put your own personal interest, your own, and sometimes it could just be as simple as holding the perspective that you have on reality. That this is the source of what we call the cognitive dissonance. When your perspective on reality is so fragile that your whole existence depends on it, every time that someone will come and challenge your perspective on reality, your risk of falling apart is huge. So therefore, you much prefer denying the existence of that perspective better than having to challenge your own. And that's what I call by personal interest. Your personal interest is to hold your reality the way you think it is, because as long as you don't have to challenge anything, so far so good. You just can blind yourself and la 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 la. It's all good, and which is really infantile. This is really what children does. They're like, no, I don't want to face the thing because I'm afraid of it. It's like the boogeyman. I don't want to look under the bed because la 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 la. Well, just look under the bloody bed and see that there's nothing. That's it. Next, okay. And most of the time it's just that. It's just as simple as that. Just face the truth, deal with it as a grown-up, and move on, okay? Because there's nothing else to do. It's just that simple. And what I really enjoy as a person to do is to challenge all those things. I love challenging all these belief systems, which makes me a very isolated person. I lost many of my friends, including all my best friends since I was young. Because every time I was challenging belief systems, I had those things that was coming back, and people just couldn't deal with their day-to-day life in their family or in their job or in the comfortable space of themselves. This is as simple as that. I cannot feel comfortable with myself, because if someone is constantly sending me back the mirror image of my failure, then obviously it's going to be difficult to live in my skin. So. And that's unfortunately my path, and that's the price to pay, and I willingly accept that path, because I swear to worship truth more than my own personal interests. So, and that's unfortunately a price to pay, which again, when I decide to put my moral, which is worshipping truth, my moral before my personal interest, I have to suffer the price. And this is not something that is easy to live on a day-to-day basis, but that's the way it is. In the meantime, I'm also meeting some new people, which I can consider like my family, like people who are worshipping the same truth. And we resonate in that perspective, because we see each other as being on the same journey, on the same path. By the way, on just that topic of truth, and I don't want to spend too much time on that topic, but for those who always question the existence of truth and the structure of truth and everything, the way I see it, and I just wanted to share that with you, is that there is no absolute truth. There is no absolute truth outside of the perfection of the moment. The perfection of the moment can bring absolute truth, but outside of that perfection of moment, absolute truth doesn't exist. Excuse me, guys, just a minute. I have to come back. So this is my perspective on truth. For those of you who are looking for truth and researching truth and trying to access to it, absolute truth cannot exist, because we live in a relative reality. But absolute truth can exist in the absolute perfection of a moment. For example, if I'm watching a sunset, and I'm feeling emotional and I'm feeling bliss because I'm watching that sunset. The beauty of watching that sunset, if I feel that this is perfect, and if I feel that that moment is perfect the way it is, because in this specific moment, I needed to see that sunset and I needed to feel what I feel, this moment can be seen as perfect truth and absolute truth relatively to the moment when I'm experimenting it. Okay, it's like when my baby was born, I was the most happiest person in the world, and in that moment, this was absolutely true for me, in that particular moment. So that's why I'm saying absolutely, all the time, truth do not exist. And that's why it is so important to be really grounded in the moment and really live in the moment, because truth can only happen in the now. It cannot happen tomorrow, it cannot happen yesterday. It only happened in the now. And I'm telling you all this because I have a big announcement to make at the end of that conference, and I think it is time for me to share this information with you guys. And yeah, bear with me. You will understand why do I share all this. Is it clear for all of you? Do you have any question? I'm just going to check a little bit. Yeah, truth hurts, and people don't want the illusion destroyed. Yes, this is all we have. We have illusions. That's all we have. Which is unreal since we're sharing all over the internet. Yes. Once you're awake, there is no going back. No, that's the blueprint of truth. When truth is waking you up, you can't really go back. Safety technology has held humanity back. For those interested in the history of the news, Representative Nikola Tesla work, Tesla ambassadors. Yeah. So bear with me. I'm going to speak about those. I'm going to talk about all this. I have a big announcement to make at the end of the chat. So in regards to technology and also shift in our civilization, there are things that you guys need to be aware of, and that unfortunately you haven't been, and it's pretty big. So just to finish on the topic of the yellow vest, 80 journalists has been arrested. Have you heard anything in your news telling you that 80 journalists, it's not 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, it's 80 journalists has been arrested by police just because they were doing their job during protest in France? Why are you not all calling your media and saying, what the hell are we paying you for? What the hell are you paying you for if you're not capable of giving us true information? And we're talking about your job, like there should be at least a class solidarity when there are journalists arrested in a country. Normally you have all the journalists saying like, well, we all together for freedom of speech and blah, blah, blah. And like, why those people are not doing their job? That should be something that all of you guys should do. 40 people have lost an eye. I think 5 or 6 people have lost a hand or foot. More than 10,000 people have been arrested, and I repeat, 10,000 peaceful protesters. There's maybe 1 or 2%. Let's say, let's be very generous. Let's say that 2% of those 10,000 people were violent people and blah blah blah. It still means that there's 98% of those people who has been arrested for nothing, and it is happening in the 7th wealthiest country in the world. And if you think that this is okay, well, think twice. Because if this is happening in France, it could happen in any country on earth. Okay? We hear nothing about this in Australia. Well, I'm not surprised. I tried to share some information by a friend of mine, which is called Elijah High, which is also doing a great job. I invite you to get in touch with him. He's currently thinking about building a political party, which could be one of the first political party managed by the resistance, let's say, the resistance that could bring those new ideas. I'm trying to get in touch with him, but he's very busy, so I'm going to try again. Yeah, I'm talking about Elijah High because he made an announcement a few days ago about a hydrogen machine that can that can produce electricity as much as with 1 glass of water, you can power 30,000 homes. Okay, this is technology that exists for decades, if it's not hundreds of years, and they have been hidden from public. And it's time for us now to get access to this information, and it's time to release this information. So just to finish on the Yellow Vest movement in France. So today, May 1, is going to be a big day in France. There's going to be a big protest, and we don't know what's going to happen next, but we see that a lot of journalists are really struggling to protect the government the way they did it so far. We see that politically it's a disaster. We even see now, I even saw something from the American press, which is really condemning Macron's politics and really saying that this is really, really, really wrong. Like, it's a disaster. It's going to be interesting to see how things goes, and we will see. I think a lot of people coming up on that big event. So bear with me, and I will share some information. So let's move into the technological aspect of things. So I am looking for people who know investors. So let's summarize a little bit the situation. So since I came back in Australia, I found out that Australia doesn't know what to do with its plastic, because China suddenly decided that they didn't want to deal with the plastic recycle of Australia. So now Australia asks the people not to recycle anymore because they don't know what to do with the plastic anyway, which is the most ridiculous thing. So let's summarize a little bit. So instead of managing our own garbage in Australia, we found that it was better to actually send it to another country. Because, by the way, like, there's no garbage. Garbage doesn't exist. It's just mismanagement of resources. But, you know, in Australia we have so much resources that we can just put them into the bin, and what is our garbage is actually the treasures of others. I actually been contacted by a man that have access to a technology that can transform any type of plastic back into fuel. Okay, I'm going to repeat. I've been contacted by someone that has a prototype technology. It doesn't have the prototype, he has the plan, and those plans has been validated by 8 PhDs who are basically saying, well, the science is quite clear on it. We can transform any type of plastic back into fuel. So what is a garbage can now become gold. So we used to pay people to export plastic to their country, and now that they refuse to take our garbage, we can actually pay people to transform the plastic into fuel. And for the last 2 months, this guy has tried to reach investors in Australia, but Australia doesn't know what to do with their plastic. Australia doesn't export it anymore, but Australia doesn't have the money to fund the production of one prototype that can actually be a proof of work for all the countries in the world that doesn't know what to do with their plastic. So if any of you knows investors that are willing to invest in this technology, please contact me personally, send me a message on Facebook. Please don't waste my time if you are, like, I only want to work with serious people. So if you know people who are really capable of doing something and are interested in that space, transforming garbage into gold, basically. So very simple. If you know anyone in that space, please get in touch with me, and I can send, like, it's a 50-page documents that explain the whole science behind it, and it's bulletproof. And on another side, there is a guy in the USA who can turn any garbage into biodiesel. Yes, Kat, this is what I'm talking about. And this technology in Australia is 40% more efficient than any technology that is currently existing. So there's this technology existing, but most of those cannot transform any form of plastic, where this one can transform any form of plastic. And the yield, the efficiency is 40% superior to any other technology existing. So it's huge. It's really huge. It's basically doesn't generate nearly no side product. It's nearly transforming everything in that spectrum. Thanks, Kat. Good to hear from you, by the way. Would it be similar to water-powered car, as you know happen to them? Well, there could be an option eventually to transform plastic into fuel, and the fuel can be directly used into the car. But this generator is big and require big place, though. So there's no miniatured version. And anyways, the hydrogen technology would be much more efficient than this one anyway. So I would much more rely on water to fuel my car than plastic. I'm only talking about this technology, not even to produce fuel, because I don't even believe in fuel anymore. There's way more efficient way to produce energy than burning fuel. This is probably the most retarded one, but at least we'll fix the issue of the pollution, which is creating a lot of drama in the ocean and in poor countries. Like, this is something that we need to deal with until we're gonna finally start to use natural plastic like hemp or banana banana skin or ananas skin, pineapple skin that can produce the same level of plastic that are entirely recyclable. Okay, I'm just talking about the current issue that we have with the plastic that cannot be recycled. Okay, and this brings me to the last point that I wanted to share with you guys, which is probably the most important one. And it's an information that not many of you got access to, or nearly none of you, or even those who follow me for a while. For those of you who know me for a few years, they know that I'm quite known online to be someone that is quite performant in sacred geometry, mathematics, and new paradigm. And for those of you who haven't been really aware of this, I invite you to do some research on Roman light, sacred geometry. You will see that I was actually sharing quite a profound information a few years ago. And when I'm saying that today is because one of the information that I shared online actually came into someone's ear, and that guy actually contacted me a few months ago to let me know that because and through that new paradigm mathematical structure that I contributed to explore, he basically solved one of the most profound modern mathematical question that we had for the last 100 years or 200 years, which is the unpredictability of prime numbers. So let me explain a little bit. Prime numbers are numbers that cannot be divided by anything else than 1 or by themselves. And there was a theory until recently that was basically stating that we cannot predict prime numbers up to infinity. And that theory actually has been the base of the whole world encryption system. So let me explain a little bit. Every encryption system key that you're using for your email, for your bank account, for whatever passwords that you're using, is using an encryption system based on like 128 keys or 256 or 512, which are basically a 128-digit number that a computer will have to spend years and years and years and years to check if each iteration of these numbers are actually prime or not prime. The problem is that with this new discovery, we can actually predict if a number is a prime or not in like a few minutes, if it's not maximum a few hours, which literally mean that we can hack any form of encryption system on Earth in a question of minutes or hours, which is a big problem for the current system we live in, because the current system we live in is organized around that, let's say, for the poor people, it's transparency, and for the rich people, it's privacy, where it normally should be the opposite, but the wealthy should be very transparent and the poor should be protected. But we live in a world of total inversion, so we are now living in a world where the rich people are entirely protected and the poor people are completely vulnerable. And we know that through the NSA that is now, for years, that is collecting information on your back, and Facebook, and everyone can actually go into your home and turn on your TV and check your computers and stuff like that, because they have supercomputers that can allow them to hack your system faster than any of us. The point is that since now we have discovered that new theory that has been published in universities, by the way, so if you do some research in, I think it's Cambridge University, since the last, I think 2 or 3 months now, the whole scientific community is shocked to actually realize, one, that a theory that was the base of the whole encryption system on Earth, and by the way, how stupid this is to have created an international encryption system that is only based on one theory that basically said that something is impossible. Like, how stupid can you be to put in place an encryption system around the whole world, stating that something is impossible, so therefore we're going to use that? Like, it's pathetically, ridiculously stupid, but unfortunately that's what they did, which means that now that we hacked the unpredictability of prime numbers up to infinity, we put in danger the whole encryption system on Earth. Which, if you don't have anything to hide, is perfectly fine. But as we all know, the more wealthy you get, the more you have things to hide. So why I'm telling you all this is because I believe that the Yellow Vest was just the premise of a global consciousness revolution that is going to accelerate and accelerate and accelerate to a huge rhythm. And that we need to get all ready about the implications that are going to come. So it's my duty to inform people and to share truth with you guys, so you can actually starting to integrate those new paradigms. Because not only now we can predict prime numbers up to infinity, but also the model that allow it to happen is very annoying for modern scientists, because it's actually revealing perfection in creation, which is very annoying for those who try to spend years and years and years to make everyone believe that basically Earth is an accident, that life is an accident, that reality is an accident, that all that is basically dead matter that doesn't have any consciousness whatsoever, and that we are living in a randomly organized reality. Well, it is not. It's perfectly organized. It's perfect in its structure and its organization. And we are currently decoding many level of this creation aspect in reality, including constants that were basically observed but not understood. Let's say, for example, the speed of light. Like we say, okay, well, the speed of light is 106,000 miles an hour or 300,000 kilometers per second. But the question is why? Why the speed of light is going at that speed? Why pi is equal to 3.1416, so on? Why the golden number square equal 2.618033355? Like it's easy to say, well, we have a constant. Why the smallest constant, like the smallest distance in the universe, is equal to 1.616 10 to the minus 33. Why? Like it's good to observe something, but if you cannot connect the dots, if you can't process the information and connect what is, then what's the point of saying, well, this is red? Well, it's red, great, and so what? If you can't basically say that, well, it's red because like the light spectrum is sending the full spectrum of light, and 99.9% of information is absorbed by the matter, and 0.1% of that light is hitting your eye, and you see this as a specific frequency that makes you believe that it's red, or that your brain is interpreted as red. Like if you cannot connect information, if you only say and state that things are red because it's red, then, well, it doesn't really support knowledge and education and growing. But if you can start to see that there's an organization, that there's an order, a superior order in creation, and that superior order in creation allow you to see the structure of time, the substance of time, the essence of space, suddenly, you really start to get into real knowledge and not just observation. So that's why, guys, I wanted to share with you this fundamental news, which is going to have who knows what level of repercussion, because modern science only operates from a specific perspective on reality based on one specific way to look at reality. But if we suddenly bring a new model that is going to be based on a whole different level of perception, but that is entirely fitting the scientific perspective and the scientific model, then who knows where we're going to go. So if you're interested in that topic, I actually did a course for many years to introduce people to this new paradigm perspective that I felt was about to come. And it's still mind-blowing for me to actually realize that what I felt probably 6 or 7 years ago is now happening now, and that what I got access to 6 or 7 years ago, which most of the people around me thought was crazy, was insane, was was irrational in regards to what used to be known, suddenly is allowing a new paradigm to move. And it's really mind-boggling for me to be in the center of that system. And it's a real privilege for you guys to share that information with you. So if you're interested into getting ready for that new paradigm and getting ready for this new perspective on reality, I used to give a course for many years, and that course has been recorded online. And I actually put it in place for you. It's a free donation, so you are free to giving me whatever you want based on the value that you got from that course. So it's if you don't want to give anything, it's free. If you want to give $5-10 per course, there's only 6 courses, so it's not very long, but it's a good introduction to allow you to get access to this new perspective before you can get access to the full course that is produced by that man that decoded these prime numbers, and we are going way beyond than all this. If you're a logical mind, but if you're also an artist, because now we are not only thinking in terms of mathematics, we think in terms of mathematics, music, art, geometry, physics, as a reunified perspective on everything. Okay, so if you've been rejected by pure mathematics because you always hated this abstract, irrational perspective on things, you would actually love it, because this holistic approach incorporates every level of creation. It doesn't incorporate just one aspect of things. So it incorporates history, economy, industry, everything as a whole, because reality is one. And if we explore reality segment by segment, we are missing the point. The whole point is that when I'm experimenting reality, it's a holistic experience. I see, I feel, I hear, I sense, my intuition receive information, I think, like that. All those senses operate simultaneously. It's not separated. But when you create experts in a field, like a biologist is only expert in biology, a lawyer is only expert in a law, a mathematician is only expert in maths. But if the people cannot cross boundaries between things, the way the ancient philosopher was, like a philosopher in the ancient time was a philosopher, was an alchemist, was a mathematician, was a musician, was a poet. And that's because experience is one, because reality is one, and you cannot explore reality from only a tiny little hole, because you're missing the whole point. And this way of thinking used to be called polymath. And I am a polymath. I see things in connection. I'm trying to connect things that seems to be separated into a perspective that I actually incorporate form, wave, order, logic, language, motion, everything. That's one of my skills. And because of that, I'm capable of seeing things in a whole different way. So if you guys are interested in this course, to start to put slowly, step by step, one foot after the other, to starting to see the bigger picture that was hidden in plain sight, I recommend you to go on my Facebook page, the RIC Referendum initiated by the citizen. I'll put a link in the description. And basically send a message. You go into the page, you send a message, and you click on Get Started. And the AI, like artificial intelligence, will give you a choice, and you just click on the New Paradigm course, and you can start to watch the series. So there's 6 episodes. At the end of each episode, I will ask you, do you want to make a donation or not? If you don't want to make a donation, that's fine. Until the 5th one, like from the 5th and the 6th, like I estimate that if you enjoy the course and if you really like it, like you can still give like $5 just to support me. And you'll see, like it's for everyone. You don't need to have any form of background knowledge. It's basically going to share with you a new way to rely on reality and to see reality from your own perspective. Like, it's not there to influence anyone. It's not a religion. It's not a drug. It can be addictive in a way, because as soon as you get access to another perspective, suddenly you die at a certain version of yourself, and you will have to rebirth and a new version of yourself, which will be incorporating new mechanism and new perspective on your own perspective on reality. So again, if you're interested, go into RIC Referendum initiated by the citizen, Roman Light, and send me a message, and just follow the thing. And when you see New Paradigm course, just click on it, and you can start to watch the first episode, second, third, fourth for free, entirely free. I'll give you the opportunity to make a donation if you want. And from the 5th and the 6th, you'll have to make a donation of minimum $5, I think. So I think that's it for today. It's a lot of information, I know. I'm just wanting to summarize a little bit. So plastic fuel technology, if any of you wants to support the manifestation of a new technology that can get rid of all the plastic that is destroying our oceans and polluting the environment, and like, I'm not a big advocate of the climate change. I don't believe in the climate change theory. I believe that the Earth is going through different cycles, and we actually see now that the North Pole is building so much ice that it's going way beyond the ice that we ever saw before. So I don't believe that climate change is induced by human beings. I believe more that it's weather weapons. They use like weapon to manipulate the weather, which to makes us believe that because every time they create a problem, then they can come and charge you for fixing it. Well, a real solution would be to design technology that will transform plastic back into fuel until we get access to better technology to run car. For example, the hydrogen technology or others that I'm working on also, by the way. So if you're interested into all those topics, you can also get in touch with me, and we can share some information. In regards to the new mathematic paradigm, you can do some research. I think it has been published 3 months ago in Cambridge University, so it's now fully open. But I will start to share more information into the RIC Referendum page as well. If you want to know more about this whole topic about sacred geometry and new paradigm, I also have a sacred arithmetic Facebook page. For those of you who doesn't know it, Sacred Arithmetic. I think now it's time to promote it more, because I think it's going to accelerate very quickly. A lot of things are going to change very quickly in many different aspects, because as soon as the science is going to absorb this new paradigm, you're going to see engineers operating from a different way, physicians observing different things, and the economy will follow, the politics will follow, the social will follow. So a lot of things are going to move forwards. So thanks, brother. Thanks, Craig. And thanks, David. So I really encourage you to do your due diligence and research. So Sacred Arithmetic is a page that I'm managing for probably 5 years now. Just go there and just watch. There's hundreds of pages of science and technology and phenomenon which are going to blow your mind about reality, and this is really important for you guys to know that it's existing. So Sacred Arithmetic on Facebook, Sacred Arithmetic, excuse my French. And if you want to get into that course, RIC Referendum initiated by the citizen, and you send me a message there, and you look for the New Paradigm course. And you can get access to it for free. It's a 6 lesson of roughly an hour and a half each. There's about an hour information and half an hour question and answer with different students that I had. And I strongly recommend you to do it, because it's mind-boggling. You will not see the world the same way after that, and it's going to reconciliate so many aspects of yourself in relationship with the world, that it's a real pleasure for me to share this knowledge with you guys. Any question? Thanks, Margarita. Thanks, Tricia. Anyone want to share? I know it's a lot of information. It's a big thing going forward. I will also share some information about this publication. I will find the publication and post it on the group, so you guys can see the elegance, the beauty, and the simplicity of order. It's so beautiful, it's so simple, it's so elegant that it has to be true, because truth is elegant, truth is simplicity, truth is order, truth is beauty. And it's time for humanity to remember all those aspects of ourselves and reconciliate the beauty, the order of inside with the beauty and order of outside. All right, so please share this video with your network if you think you will not be too much blamed for that. I hope I didn't waste too much of your time. And yeah, well, if you can support me with this plastic technology, with this new paradigm, with that course, if you want to make a donation, please help. Yeah, that's all I can say. Thank you all for being present, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.